All right, hello everyone. This is the video that will be commencing my series in which I lay out my entire worldview, my understanding of God, my metaphysics, my anthropology, my cosmological understanding. Even hopefully I'll be able to lay out ethics in some detail. Again, this is just an introduction. It's not point number one officially. In this video, I just want to explain as briefly as possible what I am calling my worldview and why I'm calling it that. So I'm calling it the Primordial Theology. And you'll notice right off the bat that it sounds a lot like perennial philosophy. I have a lot in common. I agree with many things that are put forth by perennialists. I don't agree with everything. And the term perennial is really more of an historical term. It's describing what everybody is doing or what everybody has been doing for centuries, for millennia. And then reaching back in time and saying, look, everyone has this sort of intuition, and it all comes back to this sort of common practice. A common thread seems to be weaving through these different traditions that we identify within the realm of mysticism. And therefore, even though these religions have different cultural expressions, different sorts of rituals, different dogmas, even mutually exclusive dogmas, in that they reach back in time to this sort of common, and across cultures and across traditions, with this common science, if you will, of meditation or mysticism. We're going to call that identify that as the perennial tradition or the perennial philosophy. I don't have a problem with that intrinsically. I do have some issues with the perennial tradition, which I actually more than hinted at in my first Jason Giorgiani video, where I talked about how the perennial approach is very much a Platonic approach to things, with a belief in a transcendent realm, a transcendent, uncaused realm of perfect forms or ideas, upon which, which is an archetype upon which the things in this world are copied, so that that this world ends up being just a shadow of that higher realm. I disagree with that, which is one reason I don't have the word perennial in my designation. But I also like primordial because it's closer to being prehistorical, and I want something more prehistorical to describe my view, rather than something that describes an historical process or an historical phenomena. And in doing so, what I'm trying to do is say, look, my worldview is just one instantiation out of many religions, philosophies, or religious philosophies that have come down to us from the very beginning. And it's, as far as I know, it's appearing for the first time in the 21st century. But I'm not trying to create something new, and in fact, I don't believe that I'm creating anything new. It might be new in terms of history. It might seem new in terms of how it's explained, how it's described, in terms of the fact, but really, it's actually, I don't know that there is anything in my worldview that is unique. What is unique is it's unique in its particular configuration. There are things that are taught by different traditions that I use, that I glean from, that I gain valuable insights from. But there are also things about those same traditions that I'm discarding. I don't find them helpful. So what I do is I I take what makes the most sense to me and I put them together and I say, this is really what we should be following. Not because the other positions haven't been extremely helpful or don't accomplish what they set out to accomplish in terms of making people holy or making people, giving people, conferring certain powers on people or what have you. But the most accurate iteration of the truth as it's come down to us through history will be the most helpful, naturally. It will give us the most tools to work with to help us view the truth more accurately, and therefore to practice it more intelligently, and to really define our goals, to hone those goals more perceptively, and to arm ourselves, equip ourselves more effectively. And so over time, I will explain, there are really 3 traditions where I get most of my insights. Well, 4, technically. And then I'll go through those and explain what they are. And I will also explain what about each of those traditions I don't find helpful, and why I believe that the combination of philosophies I'm taking to form what I consider to be a more coherent philosophy is the image of a religious philosophy that we should be holding up and really gaining most of our insight from. And I'm calling it the primordial theology. So primordial because it's the closest thing to describing a prehistorical reality. In other words, I am simply trying to bring into historical processes, bring into time an iteration of that which has always been, the truth with a capital T. And then theology, why? Because I don't believe that philosophy can be coherent unless we understand that the truth with a capital T, this primordial, prehistorical, uncaused truth, is personal, is theistic. And if you, as I'm going to be explaining, if you don't understand the truth in those terms, your philosophy will be intrinsically incoherent. All right, so that pretty much explains what I wanted to say, and we can go ahead and move on with part 1.